Good evening and welcome to Central School District's 2025 Meet the Candidates Night. I'm Angelina Mantu, and I'll be the moderator for the forum this evening. Fellow GHS student Ethan Chaco will also be joining me as a timekeeper. This program is sponsored by the Guilderland PTA Council and produced by the Guilderland High School Media Department. Guilderland residents will be voting on May 20th to fill 4 seats on the Guilderland Central School District's Board of Education. The goal of this program tonight is to bring forward the views of these 4 candidates that are all present here tonight. One candidate will serve to fill the board vacancy created by the resignation of Judy Slack and will begin their term on May 21st, 2025 and end on June 30th, 2026. This seat will be filled by the candidate who receives the 4th highest number of votes. The other 3 elected candidates will each serve a 3-year term beginning on July 1st, 2025. The candidates here tonight are seated in the order they will appear on the ballot on Tuesday, May 20th. The candidates are Meredith Breer, Kelly Pearson, Peter Stapleton, and Katie DePiero. This evening's forum will be organized as follows. Each candidate will have the opportunity to give a 3-minute opening statement introducing themselves. Directly after this, we will begin our questions, which have been prepared by the PTA Council members. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. At the end of the questions, each candidate will have 3 minutes for closing remarks. If everyone is all set, we get started with opening statements. We will begin with Meredith Breer.
Good evening. My name is Meredith Breer, and I am running for the Board of Education. I was appointed in October, and I've really enjoyed my time on the board so far. I'm the Director of Communications for RPCV Nexus in my day job. And I have 2 children that will be going to Westmere. One will be going into kindergarten next year. I'm running because I feel that I bring something special to the board. I have grant writing experience. I come from a lot of service background. I was a Peace Corps volunteer. I worked for the governor in Arizona overseeing AmeriCorps programs. And I believe that service is a pathway to success and to leadership. And I want to bring more of that to Guilderland. I also believe in looking at the whole picture and assessing financial responsibility so that we make the best fiscal decisions for the entire tax-paying public. I am very concerned with bullying within Guilderland, and that is on the top of my list. It's something I brought up many times that I want to find alternative ways to combat, including expanding DEI focus, not just on what kids need in the classroom, but how kids can understand each other and move together in a way of understanding to reduce bullying. I've been incredibly impressed with the alternative pathways programs, not just in Guilderland, but statewide, where we are really pushing students who have no interest in going to college to look at trade schools and alternative pathways. I think that's an incredible path forward that when I was in school, it wasn't really being looked at. And I'm so glad that we've expanded our views and that we're looking at alternative pathways. This state and the country have EMT shortages, we have teacher shortages. So there are programs that we're currently addressing these shortages here in Guilderland. We have a civics and social studies program that enables high schoolers to work as teachers in the classroom. And I want to see more of that type of programming because I think that allowing kids to see what they like is the way that we enable them to find career paths, even in high school. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next will be Kelly Pearson.
Hi. Thanks to the PTA so much for having us. Thanks to our student moderators for being here in the evening and to our audiovisual folks that are recording and live streaming, I find out tonight. Again, my name is Kelly Pearson. Let's see, I've been on the board for 6 years. This will be my 3rd term. It's been a great experience. I've really loved it. On the outside, I'm been in the military for 28 years. Worked at the Schenectady Air National Guard base for just about all 28 of those years. Currently, I'm an inspector general I work remotely out of the DC area. Well, because of the new policies, I will be working that remote job from Schenectady, doing the same things in Schenectady. So that's that. My wife and I have been residents of Guilderland for about 15 years. Wasn't born and raised in the area, but my wife was, and I really like the area. We came back here particularly for the schools. We have 4 children in schools right now. I have 11-year-old twins that attend to FMS in 6th grade. I have a 9-year-old that attends GES in 3rd grade, and a kindergartner, Lindy, who's 5, who's in kindergarten this year at GES. So I've been on the board since my twins were in kindergarten, so they've had a lovely experience throughout their education here. I've been on all the committees for the boards. I enjoy being on all the committees. Super excited about continuing on and installing a new superintendent. I'm working on that relationship building, and it's going to be a pleasure to continue on the board, and appreciate everybody listening tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next will be Peter Stapleton.
Hi, thank you. My name is Pete Stapleton. I've been in the district for almost 5 years now. My oldest will be attending the high school next year, and my youngest will be moving to the middle school. And my wife's a Guilderland grad, so we're pretty familiar with the area, and I graduated from Shaker. So thank you for this opportunity to talk with you and the voters this evening. As an experienced educator and leader in program development, I am passionate about contributing my skills and expertise to support the continued success and growth of the Guilderland School District. I am excited about the opportunity to work collaboratively with other board members, district staff, and the community to ensure that our students, families, and employees have the resources and environment necessary to thrive. As a district resident with over 20 years of experience in the field of education, I have honed my ability to help and implement effective programs that meet the diverse needs of students and educators. In my current roles in higher education, I successfully lead initiatives to enhance curriculum and programmatic offerings, promote professional growth among teachers, and foster an inclusive learning environment. My background in teacher education has provided me with a deep understanding of the challenges and opportunities that educators face, and I am committed to supporting them in their professional journey. I'm particularly drawn to the mission of the Guilderland Central School District to provide a high-quality education that prepares all students for success in a diverse and rapidly changing world. I believe that my experience in leadership, program development, and project management will enable me to make a meaningful contribution to the board. I'm eager to collaborate with fellow board members, district administrators, teachers, and the community to develop policies and initiatives that promote academic excellence, equity, and well-being for all students while being fiscally responsible. Furthermore, my leadership style is rooted in collaboration and servant leadership. I believe that the most effective leaders are those who empower others to succeed. As a member of the Board of Education, I would prioritize open communication, active listening, and shared decision-making to ensure that the voices of all stakeholders are heard and respected. I'm enthusiastic about this opportunity to serve and contribute to the district's ongoing success. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And finally will be Katie DePira.
Thank you to the PTA, and thank you for moderating tonight. Like you said, my name is Katie DePiro. I have 2 children in the district. I am running for re-election. I served 1 term. Prior to being on the board, the first half of my teaching career with Capital Region BOCES was spent at Pine Bush and Linwood. So I had the opportunity to teach right within our schools. And while teaching at Pine Bush and Linwood and also having my children in school, I became very active in the PTA as officers and serving on committees. This gave me an opportunity to be involved in enrichment for our schools, educational opportunities, and most importantly, developing community connections within our schools. So from there, moving on to the board just seemed like the next natural step for me. It was a priority for me because I am a teacher for Capital Region BOCES, and through BOCES we have a connection with shared services with other neighboring districts and also with the Career Tech Education Center. and special education services. So it seemed like it would be an opportunity to bring these connections to the board and share that input with the superintendent and other board members. So it all just kind of came together and seemed like how I wanted the next step to support our community. While I've been on the board, I served on the DEI committee for my first couple of years, and most proud of the work that we did with Student Voice Committee. It's really, I enjoyed that opportunity to help students connect with the Board of Education and with the teachers. We focused heavily on helping students work with us on making sure that all students had a trusted adult within the school. And although that's work that we want to continue to work on, it was really a nice place to start from. I've been on the policy committee, communication chair, and also have been sharing the business advisory position with Blanca. That has been interesting, an interesting opportunity because we hear from our teachers about what they're working on to help teach financial literacy within the high school, and it's a connection to the chamber and job opportunities for our students, but also helping to find opportunities to prepare our students for the workforce within our community after the high school. So really that is what I've been working on in the board and hope to continue with the next term. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will now be moving into questions. This year's capital project proposal focuses on the security at our schools, future readiness of our classrooms, and improvement to our performing arts spaces at the Gildan High School. Do you think this capital project addresses the top needs of our schools? And if you could add or change anything to the project, what would those changes be? Kelly Pearson, please.
Great. I'm super proud of the capital project. I think it's the right scope of project at the right time. You know, the board members don't just pop up and say, we want this to happen, right? There was a long-standing, almost year-long committee called the Future Ready Task Force that involved all stakeholders, including people from the community, teachers, educators, transportation, you name it, that came up with the priority list. And then, you know, they focused to whittle it down to really the essential things that's needed now. And I fully support what's on it. I'm super excited, especially about the performance spaces upgrade and the upgrades to the classrooms. Particularly I just saw the video they put out about the kindergarten spaces, and I'm very excited about what's possible there, because you know we've been through that and seen it all, and it's really exciting to be able to see what's possible to change to affect our earliest learners. So if I was to add anything, well, I would add everything. I would add everything that's on the list that is priority 1, 2, 3. I would take a look at going back to see the things that always got pushed off the list over the past couple of years and make those a higher priority. But I trust the folks that came up with the list. I trust our business officials that worked really hard to bring down the cost of that by using our fund balance resources. And I think it will be a really great addition, and I think it'll be a fantastic opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up would be Peter Stapleton, please.
Hi, thank you. I think the capital improvement project is necessary for the district at this time. And as Kelly said, you know, there's a lot of work that goes into developing that. I, of course, am concerned about, as I think everybody will continue to be as that project moves forward in the uncertain times that we live in, with the rising costs of goods, and making sure that project comes in, if it's approved by the voters, within the budget that's necessary because of cost overruns. Would I add anything? I don't think I would add anything. I think it's the right project for the moment at this time, and I hope that the voters will vote to approve it next week. Thank you.
Perfect. Could we please have Katie DePiero?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm very excited and proud of this project. The capital project before was definitely obviously necessary, but so much of the focus needed to be on updating infrastructure and different necessary heating, air conditioning, different a lot of plumbing work at the high school. So although wasn't very exciting, it was also very necessary. So when we moved from that project and were able to focus our research directly on future ready and instruction and really look at it through an instructional lens, and for our students, like we said, with performance spaces, it was nice to get to a place where we were able to have that be what everyone was looking at. And so there was a lot of hard work, a lot of collaboration between the community, students, families, and really looking at what each individual school at grade level and across through technology, performance, music performance, teachers, visits to their classrooms, bringing everyone in to show us what they needed. And so, if there's anything that I could change, it would be, like Kelly said, if we could meet the full wish list, because everybody really had justification for how this could help students. But with being financially responsible, we had to trust the group, and each stakeholder had an opportunity to prioritize from their list. So, I think that we made a good decision and hope that we can come back to the other items later in another phase. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And finally, Meredith Breer.
So I'm very excited about the capital project. I think a few things of note. Taking the old district office down is on that project, and I think that's really exciting. We hear about it constantly when we're out in the community. The performance spaces are huge. Guilderland was just named one of the best communities for music education for multiple years in a row. And I think that's a testament to how hard our staff and our children work, despite having difficulties with the performance spaces having to be shared. So I'm really excited about those new performance spaces. The thing that I wish we could put in there is a larger auditorium, because I think that music and art are pathways not only to as creative outlets, but also to critical thinking skills and creativity. And those things, go on way past when our students are in school. So I want to bolster the arts as much as possible, and I think that that's what this capital project is really doing, and I'm really excited to have been able to hear all about it, and hopefully the voters feel the same way next week.
Wonderful. We will move on to our second question. This year's budget included a reduction in 3.5 FTEs of elementary level teaching assistants. How do you see our district maintaining student support in the classroom when we are faced with the possibility of multiple years of these types of reductions? Could we please begin with Peter Stapleton?
Decisions to reduce FTE are never easy decisions for districts to make. I've attended a number of the board meetings throughout the year where they talked about the budget, and as a member of the community, you only get the information that's provided to you in public. I think our teachers in the district are one of our bright spots, and so listening to them and ensuring that their needs for support are met, and the district is also facing an enrollment drop, as many districts in the state are. So I think in order to fully understand this question, we also have to talk about that enrollment decline in the district. And that enrollment decline is not just because people are moving into or out of the district, but because parents and families are making the decision not to school their children in the public school system. And there's reasons for that. So we need to make sure that we listen to all in the district. And, I believe that our students, the voters have been clear for many years now that class size is one of the most important things to them. And I think the district and the board, we're going to be welcoming in a new superintendent, that will continue to be at the forefront of those discussions. And I look forward to ensuring that happens as hopefully at the end, when I'm elected to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Katie DePiero?
Yes. When the information first came forward that was a very difficult decision that was going to have to be made, the information that was presented was looking at that we had teaching assistants retiring, and so in an effort to preserve programs, it initially was looked at as if we weren't laying off teachers, but we weren't filling positions based on retirements. I am proud of our teachers in the district. They came forward in support of their classrooms, of their programs, of their colleagues, and really provided strong education justification for why that support was needed across the district in the elementary schools for their classrooms. And I think that the district administration and the board were responsive to the needs of our staff and our programs and teachers when they came forward with that. It did require everyone to go back and, from our administration and look at what different changes could be made to meet that need. And they really worked hard and creatively to support that. And really a lot of what we're going to need to do in the tough couple of years ahead is continue forward with that approach of trying to preserve programs, listening to our teachers, and being creative with our resources. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Meredith Breer?
So I think that one thing we do need to discuss when we talk about enrollment decline is there's actually also been a huge birth rate decline across the entire country. So it's not just that parents are choosing not to put their kids in the public school system. There are also less kids just being born. So these enrollment numbers are going to continue to decline. Everything that we're seeing means a continued decline in enrollment. So this is something that we're going to have to talk about a lot over the next few years. I also think, back to, as you said, we're facing a fiscal cliff, basically. We are facing a decline in what we are going to be able to offer from a fiscal perspective. And we had to look at that and say what makes the most sense right now and what isn't going to hurt us next year as much. And that's where I think, the framers were looking, because, look, every time we have to cut anything, it hurts. But sometimes when you know that there's just not enough money, you have to look at what's going to hurt the least. And that's where we were looking, and I think we're going to have to continue to do that, not just this year, but next year and probably the following into the future. I do want to say that neighboring districts, we heard this a lot, neighboring districts. Guilderland has more TAs in the classrooms than any other district in our surrounding districts. So this also is something that I think Guilderland parents needed to know, and I think that message needs to continue to be told, and we need to be very transparent about that.
Thank you very much. And finally, Kelly Person?
So when we first got the superintendent's draft budget, the initial cut was 8 TAs or something like that. Yeah. And then obviously, went through many board meetings listening to TAs and constituents and really deciding that we needed to strike a balance to figure out how to support the students the best way we can and how to support the taxpayers the best way we can. And I think the balance that we ended up with was a minus 3.5 FTE for that time frame moving forward, preserved people's positions. Like the focus was not to fire people or lay people off at first, and that was great, but we learned very quickly that that wasn't where our values were at that point as a community. We really wanted to put them back in. And I'm really proud that we got that accomplished. This is not going to go away, and it's not anything other than rising costs, tax surcharges. There's just so many things that went into this year and previous year. The budget, it's going to be bad. It's bad and it's terrible, and it's going to continue that way for the foreseeable future. So what we need to do is take the money that we have and come up with a way to maintain the programs that we have the best way we can, and to focus on maximizing the resources that we have in creative ways. And I think so far we've done a good job of that, but it's not going to go away. So people need to continue to think about this year after year after year, so we don't have to lay people off, and we can continue to keep the programs that we have in place that we want. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on to our third question. How would you define diversity, equity, and inclusion? What would be your plan to ensure every student in our district has the same educational opportunities regardless of background or abilities? We'd like to begin with Katie DePiero, please.
Sure. So for diversity, equity, and inclusion, really, I am proud of the work that our district has been doing and that we continue to move forward with that as a priority. That has really been stated throughout the board and the district that to continue on as a priority. And we really looked at the diversity of our students within the district and the equity walks for each building. I'm proud of our building administrators and how much they have come forward to work with us through that and are really taking charge of that at this point within their own buildings. So really our focus has been on meeting our students' needs and what they need to be able to learn best within the classroom, and whether that, whatever support that means, but also that they feel that they're being recognized and that they are here, and we're listening to our students. We know that we still have more work to do. What I'm proud of is that through this work, our students are more vocal and are letting us know when they see things that they need that improved within the district. So I believe that the work that we're doing is working, and I hope that students increase and continue to do that. But also for inclusion, we know that we've heard from special education families within the district, and that we want to continue to hear how we can better help support and serve students who are in co-top programs, but also whose needs are higher and are self-contained and may need other creative opportunities to increase their participation in the school community. Thank you.
Thank you. Meredith Breer?
So what does DEI, or diversity, equity, inclusion, mean to me? I think, equity is not equal. It's looking at what the needs are for every individual student and attempting to meet them where they are and try to help them succeed. So I think the first thing that we have to do when we're talking about DEI is talk about bias and look at our own internal bias and be honest about it. When I was in the classroom, when I was in Peace Corps, I talked about this with my students all the time, about how we look at the world is colored by our experiences. So how do we remove some of that bias so that we can look at the world and treat others the way that they want to be treated, and have those discussions, as staff, but also with our students, so that they're aware that we're doing that and that they can mirror those actions that we're taking. So part of that, I agree with Katie. Special education, I think we need some attention on special ed. We need some assistance. We need to bolster those programs, make sure that they're getting the help that they need, both staff-wise and students, and a little bit more transparency with parents, and just having more discussions. To me, when we talk about DEI, it's a culture of inclusion. So that means accepting everyone for who they are and helping them be more successful, no matter if that's staff, students, teachers. Everybody is included in that umbrella. And I loved the cultural fair, and I want to see more of that type of engagement.
Thank you. Kelly Person?
Thank you. DEI to me is just simply that all students get what they need to succeed. Whatever ability, whatever background, it's up to us to provide them with what they need. So 4 or 5 years ago, when we did our board goals, that was one of our number one goals, was to Well, what it turned into was forming a DEI committee and installing a DEI director. And I think we've come a really long way since then. And it's not up to the board to do the DEI. The board is to set the tone for what we expect the community to be like. And I think we've done a good job of that. After you set the tone, it's a matter of getting buy-in from the superintendents and the building leaders and the students and the administrators and the teachers and the custodians and everybody. And where I think it's at right now, I think is in a great spot. It's I feel, from what I understand, it's kind of it's in the hands of the building principals, really, because they know their schools the best. You know, they're there every single day. They've done their equity walks. And I think it's in a good spot. Now, Guilderland, you know, Guilderland is just a microcosm of the greater society, right? We have problems. Everybody has issues. And we're not invisible to that. So I think there's a lot of work to be done. I think we just need to keep the focus on the building levels to keep the students engaged and keep it a priority for the board to keep from the top down. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Peter Stapleton?
Could you repeat the second part of the question, please?
Absolutely. What would be your plan to ensure every student in our district has the same educational opportunities regardless of background or abilities?
Thank you. So I'll start with the first part, which is what does DEI mean to me? And it's about reducing barriers and friction points for student success. That all students have an opportunity to reach their fullest potential. The tone is set by the board to hope we should have a new superintendent soon, in the coming year. And so that's where it starts. And then it's about accountability, it's about buy-in, it's about helping those continue to work towards that. We're not perfect, nobody's perfect, but as long as we continue to reflect and to listen and to help folks be able to see things differently and to see things from others' perspectives, we'll continue to be a district that maintains that DEI policy and initiative at the forefront of what we do as a district.
Thank you very much. On to our fourth question. What would be your advice to our new superintendent, and what do you think should be their main focus as they take over as the leader to our district? I'd like to begin with Meredith Breer.
Oh, that's a very loaded question. So I think that my advice to anybody in a new job is, number one, come in with a listening ear. There are people that have been here for years that know the district, they know the students, they know the staff. The best thing about Guilderland is how well people work together. So any new superintendent coming in needs to come in, understand that, and utilize the resources. And I believe that Guilderland's best resource is its people. So all of that goes into making a successful district. The superintendent is almost like a figurehead in my eyes. So to that vein, essentially come in, listen, learn, and then be directed by the incredibly experienced staff that you have. Was there a second part of that? That's it?
Yep.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. On to Kelly Person.
Thank you. You know, as sad as it is to see Dr. Wiles leave, I am excited to welcome a new superintendent. And my advice is really simple. I would say it's two things. Number one, and first and foremost, 100% is just to come in and build relationships. 100%. That's it. Come in, build relationships with the board, build relationships with the staff, build relationships with the students, and then that will let them know what direction that, how they're going to take the school. And the other bit of it is to communicate clearly and frequently up to the board and down to the staff. And I think if those two things, if they are effective in those two things, then I think we'll have a good start with a new superintendent. Thanks.
Thank you. Peter Stapleton?
So colleagues have said a lot of what should be done. I would add to use data to inform decisions, but don't take too long to make decisions. In education, with the constant change that we're seeing, we need to make sure that we're addressing lots of different things in the moment and not waiting too long. Sometimes you need to wait to make decisions. Clear and transparent communication would be another piece of advice. Where would they focus? I think relationships is where you need to focus. You need to come in and listen and get to know folks, make yourself visible, and then continue to work with the board and maintain the positive work that Dr. Wiles has done to date.
Thank you very much. And finally, Katie DePiero.
Similarly, to echo some of what has already been said, I agree with everyone. One of the things that I would recommend is really for the individual to see that we have a lot of stakeholders. We had, I believe, 18 forums, possibly, right, in going into this process, which tells you that we have a lot of stakeholders who are really invested in the success of the district or who have input or involved. And so for the new superintendent to really look at who those forums were and who all of the people are that took their time on their evening or their afternoon, whatever. I know they were held throughout, and really who wants to have a voice. And again, it's building those relationships, but also it's a huge undertaking to take over in a large district like this. So really, I would advise that as quickly as they're able to catch up with the input from the forums and the people who are invested in the district, also to come together with us as a board and start to set what our goals and our priorities are together as a new superintendent and a board of education, so that we can really hit the ground running where all the good things that we have been doing, we continue on there, but also, through looking at the stakeholders and building that trust, find ways that they can come in with a new lens and offer some input to us too, to build that trust so that we can also hear them as well as them hear us. So thank you.
Thank you very much. On to our fifth question. How can GCSD do more to curb bullying before it happens? And do you think a phone ban in schools will reduce the incidence of bullying? Starting with Kelly Person.
Curbing bullying is it's such a challenging time frame in kids' lives, and getting a finger on what's occurring, where it's occurring, and then trying to stop that. It's a big task. Like, it's huge. But it's so important, especially for the mental health of our students. And the times, they're just changing so rapidly. And I think involving the students in these conversations is critical, because well, I was just watching that adolescence show on Netflix, and it really made me think, because like we don't even know what it is. You're talking about you're talking about your phone. Different messages mean different things, right? That was just kind of what I took initially from the thing. Oh, there's no bullying here. What do you mean? They were perfectly nice to you, but the heart was blue and it meant this. And I'm like, okay, wait, there's so many aspects to this that we as parents have no idea. So I think it's really important to include the students in those conversations, to be like, well, okay, what is bullying to you? What does it mean? Well, how is it making you feel? Help us help you. And as far as the phone ban, I am fully support of the phone ban. Will it help bullying in school? I don't know if that's really connected to it right now. I know out of school, seems like all of the instances I heard all involve some sort of social media. Will a phone ban stop that? Maybe. And maybe they won't be able to take pictures of fights going on in schools or things like that. That would be really, great. But I don't know if it would help it outside of school. But I am in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you. On to Peter Stapleton.
So I think when we talk about this topic, it's very difficult to just get a question and respond it because there's a lot of layers to it, right? I think one of the first things that we need to do as a community is to engage at the building level. What are the principals? What are the teachers? How are we managing it? And that's something as a new board member, I would need to talk to folks and listen, and that's what we should do. But it's also super important that we don't waste time on this, right? If this is a major concern, then we should be addressing it. But it's going to lie with the administration and how they address it. New York State has plenty of opportunities and trainings that every single teacher has to go through. They have an anti-bullying training that every single teacher has to have. So this is not a matter, in my opinion, of the training teachers have. It's about addressing the cause and holding folks responsible. Is a phone ban going to change it? I mean, hopefully it changes some of it, but let's also be honest. Bullying is not a new phenomenon. What's a new phenomenon is the constant contact. And so when you're taking that social media piece out of it, that has shown so far in many schools across the country to reduce these things. Does that mean it's going to stop? Probably not, but we'll have to continue to address it. And building administration has to be held responsible for it as well. I would also add that if, one of the things that we don't talk about with the phones, we talk about the impact of the phone on the teenage brain. But if we're really concerned about the brain and learning, we also need to be looking at the use of Chromebooks and technology in younger grades as well.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Katie DePiro, please.
Sure. If we had, I wish we had a quick and easy answer for bullying in schools, but because believe me, if we did, we would have done whatever we could at this point. But I do believe that it needs to be a priority and it needs to be a connected approach with social work, teachers, building administrators, school psychologists, really having everyone has been invested, but really if we're going to take a look at it and make it a priority, which everyone has identified, they need to be central to that conversation to help guide us and everyone on what we can do, because it really is essential. As far as the phones, there are many layers to phones in schools, but what you've asked about was bullying, and I hope it makes an impact. Couple of the things that I see that it could potentially help with this is bullying. We know happens more in groups when students group together to bully another student. And so unfortunately for students now, because technology makes access to large groups of people within seconds, the ability for a student who's being bullied, unfortunately, for it to multiply to multiple people getting involved and the heavy impact on the child who's being bullied, to know that they don't even know how many people have seen it, or also when we look at school fights, videos are shared, and often what you can see is that there are one student who's trying to back away from the incident, and they're being encouraged by the people who are recording it. And so it really has taken away students' opportunity to find an out of the fight. You can see them backing away, and they can't find a way to escape it because everyone's recording it and encouraging it to go on. So if anything, we could have an impact on that would be amazing for schools.
Thank you very much. And finally, Meredith Breer.
So I am a huge fan of no cell phones in classrooms. However, I also believe in incremental changes because I think there are unintended consequences that happen to any policy that's implemented. And I don't think that we've seen what those are. So by implementing a full ban with no restrictions on that, I think that that's problematic. I also truly believe that this tech is not going away. So I would like to see responsible use classes being implemented, even in the early grades. because, again, these kids are going to grow up with this. It's going to become a part of their life. Some people, I mean, I work on my phone, so it's a constant. It's with me all the time. If I look at things from an anecdotal perspective, I learned more about other people and about bullying when I was in discussion courses in college, and for the first time in my life encountered somebody who had a completely different upbringing from my own, and it completely changed my view of the world. And I think that can be implemented. And I mean, these are obviously two separate issues, but bullying at its root, I think, is a misunderstanding that grows. And so I want to root out that misunderstanding. And I do think we need more mental health resources. And I want to see students interacting with each other in a safe environment where they can share their own experiences. One thing I'm really excited about for the next year is free breakfast and free lunch for all students, because I think it removes the stigma of need and it increases the access to services.
Thank you very much. On to our last question. What do you feel are the strengths and weaknesses of our district's special education programming? How will you be sure special education students are included in outside of the classroom opportunities other than Unified Sports and the Best Buddies program? Starting with Peter Stapleton.
You know, I think the first thing I want to say is I have to learn more about how the district is structured in terms of what the families who have students within special education are experiencing. The overall education that students get in the Guilderland School District is fairly good. We are a suburban district in the Capital District in New York, but we can do better. In special ed specifically, we need to do better with gifted education. And gifted education is special education. And so we do need to look at that. And we need to provide more college credit opportunities for our high school students who are capable. And all high school students are capable. I think, one of the strengths of what we do in the district is to go through our communication channels and listen and to learn, and then to develop steps to either continue to strengthen what we do, or to address those things and really make change. So that's what I would say.
Thank you very much. Katie DePiero?
Our greatest asset, I believe, in our special education program are our teachers. We have really strong, invested, amazing teachers, where we have many different levels of programming available. But what we have heard from families is that there are spots where they feel that we're missing opportunities. And really, to be able to answer about what the need is, I think that we have to go back and hear again we heard from students and families, and give them opportunities to provide us more feedback and input on what, the challenges that they had shared this past year that they were facing. What we had heard this year from some of our COTOP programs at the high school, which have been providing really amazing opportunities and have had success with students. And again, that's, credit to our teachers. We also know that the needs of some of our students at the younger levels, but as they move up, is that we're seeing students with increased needs that need to initially be met in a more contained model, and then that really is a struggle because it goes against what we've made our commitment to inclusion. But for those students that are not ready for that model, how can we better support them besides just Unified Sports to be in connected with the community? I think we need to go back and hear from the community. That's what we need, to get that feedback from the people who are involved. And the other thing that we asked is that we've been expanding our CTE opportunities right within the district. but looking for work-based learning opportunities for our students at the high school who are in special education would be another area that we could expand on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Meredith Breer?
So I agree that teachers are our greatest asset. I think I think everybody on the board now and everybody up here agrees with that it's absolutely true. And our special education teachers are just phenomenal. I do think that we've seen an increased need in special education in the last few years, and we need to kind of look at this the same way that we looked at the Future Ready Task Force. I think that we need to have an assessment to figure out what the needs really are in special education and how we can best address those needs. Definitely listening to the families, but one thing that I think sometimes we forget to do is listen to the students. We need to have student input on what their needs are, and I want to make sure that that's happening. I think with unified sports, it's one step in the right direction. I hope that with all of the new facilities for the arts and performing arts, that there will be a renewed sense and we can somehow bring special education into that and utilize that space for them as well. And really, I think that listening, learning, and then making decisions is really important. But I know that there have been some areas of need that have not been addressed in the last few years. And I think that that's the first thing we need to do is just sit down and kind of make an assessment of where those needs are and what can we do, especially with the fiscal issues that we are facing. We can't just expand programming right now. So how do we utilize what we already have to move things forward?
Thank you very much. Finally, Kelly Person.
Thank you. I'm going to echo my board members and say that absolutely our biggest strength is and always has been is our teachers and educators in special education. I think they are as my kids would say, they're built different to be in that field and to just have the love and ability that they have. I really certainly appreciate them and everything they do. So I would thank them and say that that's one of our strengths within our Guilderland Central School District. As far as weaknesses, I would say probably past couple of years we've been focusing on communication here. We've heard from teachers. We've heard from parents quite a bit, and they're fairly good at communicating to us what the issues are. I think we could probably do a better job at getting working groups together and communicating back down what is possible really within our fiscal constraints. I know we've moved around sections, this year based upon where folks are and what children have moved up or around within the district or outside of the district as well. So I think the weakness would probably be the communication back down and the honest communication with the parents of and the students of what is needed, and how can we address that within our fiscal environment that we have right now. That would be a good step forward for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point, we will be hearing closing remarks from the candidates, starting with Katie DePiero.
I just want to thank you again for this opportunity and to just share that, you've really hit on many of our priorities for the coming school years, and to really continue the focus within the district to keep moving forward with our DEI initiatives and, like we've identified, helping to best support our special education programs and to work with the community to hear how we can stay connected to what they need and work forward with our new superintendent. It's going to be a time of change, but the community should know that the board is ready to stay committed to the goals that we have, and that we've put a lot of work into identifying what what we would like to see in the next superintendent, and we hope to best support the community through this process coming forward. So thank you again for letting us speak tonight.
Thank you so much. Next will be Peter Stapleton.
I want to thank you to the student moderators, the PTA for coordinating and our questions, and our AV staff for the work that they're doing. I want to go back just real quick. This part of my closing statement, that one of the really strong programs that we have in the district is the Unified PE program. Your question specifically asked what other things, right? And so that's one of the reasons why. But that program is such a strength that the teachers that I help train at Russell Sage College in physical education are actually seeking a partnership with the district to bring our students into the district, our college students into the district, to work with that program, and we're hoping to launch that in the fall. So that is a major strength. But, you know, our district does a lot well. Many of our teachers are supportive, caring, passionate individuals, but we can be better. There's areas that we can be better. And so with a new superintendent incoming, this is an exciting time to join the board, especially with the amount of change that is potentially on the horizon. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next will be Kelly Person.
Hi. Thank you. And thanks again, folks, for spending your evening with us and all of our friends. There's nobody in here. Thanks, Amy, for having us here. And again, to our audiovisual folks. So thanks for having us here for this opportunity. It's going to be a pleasure to, obviously, with 4 slots, be on the board again for the next 1 to 3 years, I guess you could say. We shall see. But it's really been a great experience, and I'm really excited to continue on. I'm really excited to install our new superintendent, and I'm really excited to kind of get with them and with our new board and do our. It's time to do new board goals or strategic planning for the future. It just happens to be that time. It coincides right with Dr. Wiles leaving and a new superintendent coming. It kind of just happened that way. So I can't wait to get this superintendent installed and start building those relationships and get our vision for what, you know, Guilderland is going to look like for the next 5 to 10 years. So it's been a pleasure, and come out and vote on May 20th. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And finally will be Meredith Breer.
So I want to say I'm so thankful that I get to serve this community. It's just been a real pleasure. I'm here for assistance with anything that I can assist with to anybody. Reach out. I will do anything in my power to help. I want to thank the AV team, the PTA, my colleagues here, and everyone watching. I think that when we get involved, we really do special things. So thank you. Thank you guys for getting involved. And I would like to say good luck on your AP exams and get out of here and go study.
Thank you so much. All right, this concludes tonight's forum. I'd like to thank the PTA council members, GHS Media, and all those who assisted in bringing this program to the voters. Thank you to the candidates for coming tonight, and thank you to all the community members for watching on the GHS Media YouTube channel. Please remember to go out and vote on Tuesday, May 20th at your local elementary school. Thank you again for joining us. Have a good night.